What up? What up? So just a little video response, okay? So like I said, I watched part one of Mike Todd's video. It was called "Good Word Gone Bad," talking about prosperity gospel, and I had a lot of thoughts. I had a lot of thoughts on it, So I'm a Christian, So but yeah, so I watched it and had my have a critique. So pretty much I want to start off with the good. So I love the fact that when I watched it, he the pastor Mike Todd, he pretty much did do a good job of talking about prosperity gospel. I mean, towards the end of it, he said, hey, like prosperity gospel has been manipulated, it's been used to manipulate people, which it has, to make them think that all, that God, if you're evidence of you being favored by God is that means that everybody's going to have financial wealth and health and all of this stuff, right? So he definitely refuted that. Um, yeah, he talked about how money wasn't, like prosperity is not only money, right? It's also your health. It's also, it's different aspects of it. It's your health. It's your mental health. It's how it's generosity. Is you, being able to give to others. So he tried to, in there, he tried to, um, I guess go against what people think in terms of prosperity gospel, right? So a lot of you see some churches, they're like, hey, you give to the church, you're gonna go to heaven, or you give me $5 and we sow this seed, and it's almost like a pyramid scheme, right? And if you give me 1,000, you're gonna get 5,000. You give me 5,000, I'm gonna triple it or quadruple it, you're gonna get 20,000. So he definitely explicitly came out against that in part one of the series. So I agree with him on that. Now here's some of the critique. Okay, so while it's not a prosperity gospel, okay, and some people may disagree with me on that, but like I said, I on part one, like I said, I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt, and then he put on his social media, he put all these questions about prosperity gospel, and he pretty much said that, yeah, you're not guaranteed financial success by giving to the church, you're not guaranteed health and wealth all the time, by just giving to the church, or being a follower of Christ. That is not what it means. So yeah, so I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. Now, it's not prosperity gospel, but why did it still rub me the wrong way, as a Christian? Well, first of all, it rubbed me the wrong way because I think it's still a bourgeois gospel, and it's not, and he's not the only one who does that. Unfortunately, with many churches, many black churches, I mean, I think churches in general, but I'm really concerned with black churches and how, and the messaging that especially working class black Christians are getting. It's still a bourgeois gospel. So what's that? So a bourgeois gospel is still a gospel that is either endorses capitalism or is still very much compatible with capitalism. Okay. So it doesn't challenge systemic issues. Okay. So when he was talking, for instance, when he was talking a lot about financial stewardship in the part one, most of his examples of poor stewardship of money, most of it was about the poor stewardship of poor people or poor working class people, right? Even he even talked about his own story about coming from poverty, and he said that he came out of poverty because of his because he overcame his poverty mindset, as if mindset is the only reason why people are poor. You can have the best mindset in the world. You can be working 2 and 3 jobs, which a lot of people are, and they're hardworking, they're responsible, they're not spending all their money on, you know, uh, designer clothes and all of this stuff. But that's not the reason why they're poor. They're being underpaid, they're being overworked, and that comes from a system, right? That's a capitalist system. So, but if you look at part one of his series, he takes you out of the economic and social reality that we're living in, right? In the name of God, in the name of spirituality, and I don't agree with that. I think that yes, we are Christian, yes, we believe in Christ, but I don't think that it's necessary, or it's even It's not necessary, or it's not good to just take us out of the social and economic reality that we're in. Right. One of Jesus's first sermons, if you go to Luke 4, right after he gets out of the wilderness and 40 days, 40 nights. And right after that, his first ministry, or he gives you like his first thing he talks about, he gives you like a thesis statement for his ministry. And I think it's like in Luke 4, he talks about, he has the scroll from Isaiah, and he says, yeah, like I came to bring good news to the poor. I came to, set the prisoners free. I came to set the oppressed free. Okay. So that's the mission statement for Christ. So if he's saying that he's coming to bring good news to the poor, he's coming to set the oppressed free, then that means that it's an oppressed and then there is oppressors. Okay. So yeah, but when you're watching part 1 of the series from Mike Todd, oppression, systemic oppression, all of that stuff is out, right? It's like it doesn't exist. All of the issues is just individual behaviors. It's the individual behaviors of working class people that needs to change. It's your poor mindset. So you are to blame for for low wages. You're to blame for massive unemployment or underemployment, right? It's the poor working class people who are to blame. And then many times he kept saying, like, I have permission to prosper. I have permission to prosper. And like I said, when you're looking at that, okay, yes, that's good for someone, who's working class, who's trying to make it. But that's not a good message for someone who is privileged, who has the Amazons, Jeff Bezos of the world, and they're already prospering, but they're prospering at the expense of most people, because they're, not giving them fair wages, livable wages. They're not, having them in safe working conditions, all of that stuff, So you're telling the elites. So if I'm watching that as someone who's the owner of Bank of America, or if I'm the owner of Amazon, or I'm the Elon Musk of the world, right? And I'm just being told I have permission to prosper. Yeah, I don't have to give up any of my power. I don't have to give up any of my wealth. I don't have to give up any of my privilege. I'm good, So it's like it's almost a gospel that's like a bourgeois gospel. Like I said, it ignores the economic and social realities. It ignores systemic injustice, and it treats the oppressed and the oppressor as being exactly the same. It's like, yeah, the oppressed and the oppressor exactly the same. So if you're an oppressor, you don't need, and you're someone who has privilege in an oppressive system, you don't need to try to give up your privilege or give up your power or anything like that. You can just keep on doing what you're doing. And then all of the blame, so there's no stewardship in terms of the elite and the rich 1%, having so much and that they can't even spend in one lifetime, or like I said, passing laws and policies to make it so that people can't unionize and all of that stuff. All of that stuff is ignored, right? And that's not what we should do, So like I said, like Dr. King back in the day, letter for Birmingham jail, he actually criticized the church for ignoring social and economic realities. It's the economic and social reality of the time in the letter for Birmingham jail was segregation. So he was actually critical of that, and I think we're still dealing with that today in terms of people trying to ignore these systemic issues and then just put all of the blame on working class people's behavior. That actually serves the elite, that serves these oppressive systems, so they can keep on going without any critique or anybody or us even organizing against it. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's my take. Like I said, the bourgeois gospel, that's a gospel that is really, really bad. It's like I said, it's in white churches, black churches, it's in too many churches all throughout the U.S. And I think we gotta wage ideological struggle against that. You know what I'm saying? So yes, I love Christ, but he came to set the oppressed free, right? And if we're gonna really do that and be the hands and feet of Christ, we have to understand, analyze oppressive systems, and come together and organize against these things. And that's why, yeah. So God is we supposed to be bringing heaven to earth. As earth as is done in earth as is done in heaven. With the Lord's prayer. So it's not just supposed to be just all like spiritual and not dealing with the material world at all. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. That's the bourgeois gospel. That's in, like I said, many, many churches, but we definitely got to wage ideological struggle on that. So, but what do you think? What's your take? Have you seen the series I'm talking about? So, like I said, it's just a critique, but hopefully it lead to more conversation and yeah. So, have a good one.